rehearse the things which we in Northern Ireland want to see undone in this withdrawal agreement, because of course it is most damaging to the Northern Ireland economy, Northern Ireland businesses, puts burdens on them, puts additional administrative checks on them, and indeed leaves Northern Ireland open to anti-competitive dumping by EU countries. But I want to maybe widen it today, because many people see the Northern Ireland Protocol as something that simply affects Northern Ireland. It was unfortunate, had to do it, had to get a deal through, don't like parts of it, but, you know, given the special circumstances, that was the best we could do. The point of the Northern Ireland Protocol is this, that it is the back door by which the EU is going to continue to undermine the sovereignty of this Parliament. And I know that the Minister at the beginning congratulated the member for Stone on the fact that he had worked tirelessly to restore the sovereignty of this House. This withdrawal agreement and the protocol undermines and continues to undermine the sovereignty of this House. And it does it through Article 10 of the Northern Ireland Protocol, which insists that state aid rules will apply not to Northern Ireland, as the government's command paper suggests in paragraph 40, but applies to the United Kingdom as a whole. Because any state aid which the government of the United Kingdom gives to any firm which trades in Northern Ireland and therefore has an effect on possible trade between those firms through Northern Ireland into the rest of the EU will be subject to EU laws. And the final adjudication on that, according to Article 12 of the Northern Ireland Protocol, will be by the European Court of Justice. So any support which the government gives, and let me give an example. Nissan's been mentioned here today. The government decides it's going to help Nissan to develop battery cars. Nissan sell cars in Northern Ireland. Other car makers in Europe could challenge that. And the final adjudication on it will not be in the British courts, but in the European Court. And that could extend to almost any activity. And therefore, for that reason, it is important that if the government lives up to the commitment of the third part of its motion, then it has to address the withdrawal agreement. In the command paper, it sees the withdrawal agreement as temporary anyway. It sees it going along with a future trade arrangement. I'll give way yet.
Did my right honourable friend notice the remarks that I made at the end of my speech with respect to the question of the Northern Ireland Protocol?
I did. I appreciated the point that was made, but I think it's important that this is revisited not just for the good of the economy and businesses in Northern Ireland. It's essential that it is addressed for the sovereignty of this Parliament and for the freedom of this government to use fiscal policy, monetary policy and any kind of state support policy for the whole of the United Kingdom. Because there's hardly a business in GB which does not trade with Northern Ireland. So either they don't invest in Northern Ireland or they don't trade in Northern Ireland, or else they find that they're subject. And any government policy addressed to them which is perceived as giving an advantage, and by the way, that advantage only has to be theoretical according to EU law. The effect does not have to be real. It doesn't have to affect sales. It's just, in theory, it has to affect sales. And it doesn't even have to be substantial. It can be a very small proportion of help, or a very small proportion of the market. So this is a huge foot in the door. And I would say to the government, we want to see during the scrutiny of this and during the reports in this, what has been done. The withdrawal agreement must not be seen as set in stone. The government in its own command paper sees it temporary anyway, albeit with the consent of the Northern Ireland Assembly. But it also has to address the issue of how the withdrawal agreement impacts on the sovereignty and the ability of this government to conduct its own economic policy in the United Kingdom.